forward.
To see
Alright, welcome back to another week, everyone. As you can see, a lot of people on night works this week, so to all you guys tuning in at home, welcome. Have a good week at night works. Birthdays this week, we've got Deb Mooney turning 63 today. Doesn't look like he's here, but when he is, wish him a happy birthday. No anniversaries. We've got some positive recognition. We've got some safety excellence here for Reese, Matt and Liam. Continue to run through.
Through this, so 11th to the 8th, Powerline crew with Matt, Liam and Reese come across a car that hit a pole on McGill Road. No other members of the public were at the scene at this point, so the workers pulled up behind the crash site to correct the car and members of the public that were becoming involved. The workers then proceeded to render assistance to the injured driver who was unconscious and slumped forward onto the steering wheel. Emergency services were notified, surrounding traffic was managed and the rear window of the vehicle was broken using one of our hammers. TSW then climbed into the rear of the car, I think that was Matt Delarue, jumped in, pulled the driver back into the seat in upright position and supported her head. The driver was floating out of consciousness and the other TSW reassured the driver that everything was going to be okay and emergency services were on the way. Emergency services arrived about 15 minutes later and the TSWs briefed the officer on any observations they've made, including the basic first aid treatment that had been provided to the driver. So I've got a note from Cam here. So a great example of community-minded action and ability to assess and manage situational risks in an intense situation. Well done Reese, Matt and Liam for your actions you took. No doubt these actions reduce the chance of any further health implications for the injured driver along with controlling the surrounding traffic risk and crash site. So well done mate, you're the only one here. Goes to show that first aid and all the training we do does come in handy, not just for us, but to help members of the public. Well done mate.
Yeah, well done fellas, that would have been no doubt.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Yeah, happy birthday, Uncle.
Sorry I'm late. You don't get to drop me off this morning.
Deserve it today, mate. Previous switching week's toolbox, did Seb?
Yeah, I've just got something, just a switching spotlight that Seb sent me. So, switching spotlight is a reminder for operators and checkers about the importance of proving dead before earthing and commencing work. So, recent events with low voltage lines that have still been energised with crews that have gone to prove dead and earth. Through the diligence and excellent work methods used by the crews, they picked this up before an incident. So some of the events that caused this issue is incorrect drawn LV maps, generator changeover switches, and customers' batteries that have been wired up incorrectly. So with the amount of solar, private generators and potential incorrect LV maps that are out there, it's crucial that we follow the correct policies and procedures, and we use this correctly to ensure we go home safe every day. So yeah, pretty important. Make sure we're proving dead at all times before putting those earths up. There's a lot of stuff out there that can catch us. That was it.
Yeah, and just on that, you mentioned about customers' batteries being wired incorrectly and feeding back in. It was a few toolboxes ago we spoke about services and isolating them. What's the requirements? Do we work live? Do we treat it as live? We do have some more information on that Ryan's seat. I haven't got it in front of me, so I don't want to speak to it and make any mistakes. We'll add it to next week's toolbox, but there was some information coming around that as well. DS incidents, so we're 579 days without switching incident, so yeah, still climbing, so keep up the work and obviously focus around switching as we all do. DS incidents, near misses and hazards. So we've got a near miss here. Whilst clearing tree roots with a reciprocating saw in order to find a cable fault, the employee was focusing on the cables and trying to avoid cutting them, while noticing the rear of the saw blade was on a gas main. So his focus was on the cables. It was his spotters noticed that the saw was on the gas main, took out a small gouge, work was stopped, APA was called, and APA came out and rectified, I believe. So I don't know, any suggestions on how we can avoid that? I suppose having the spotter there is a good thing, probably avoided cutting it.
Take some of that hard plastic and slot it in around the cables and stuff.
Yeah.
So the spotter itself was probably the fix in that, you didn't have a spotter then.
Yeah, well that's right, it could have been different, it could have been an incident rather than a near miss I guess with the spotter, so I suppose just make sure that we are Obviously his focus was on the cables, which is pretty important. But yeah, just make sure that we are using spotters and stuff where we can. And some sort of physical barrier if it
And paint them so you can see them. Get some yellow paint or paint whatever colour so it's clear to you what it is.
yeah, stand at the top of the trench, identify all your hazards, jump in, maybe just give everything a little spray so it's clearly visible. Yep. We've got another hazard here. So whilst loading a drum of cable, it was found that the pin used to locate the drum bar and brake assembly was replaced with a 16mm bolt. Also a split pin was replaced with a bit of copper that held the chain to the brake assembly. I feel like we've probably had 3 or 4 of the same thing happen. Not sure if anyone has any more information about that. Are we getting the fleet from the depots in this state?
This was our trailer.
This was our trailer.
This is our trailer.
Okay.
Was that on one side of it? One side's got the pin, one side doesn't?
I'm not
Correct.
sure. Is
Yeah,
that?
that's been, yeah, it's been like for a while. But I know it doesn't help.
No. And I got it fixed in a day. So someone had reported it to me when it first happened.
It's fixed now.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it fixed straight away.
Yeah, so I suppose if you do lose a pin or something breaks or whatever, stick your hand up, report it, we'll get it fixed because 16mm bolts aren't rated probably for what the stresses that we're putting them through, and a bit of copper. Copper's quite fragile too, so if we're using that to lock a pin in, it's not the best situation either. So well done for this person spotting it, reporting it. We ain't getting it fixed. Let's just make sure when we do see them.
We got to be on to stuff like that. Like I think it was you, Bruce, the other day that found a pin just in the back block, just laying on the ground. So we went around looking where did that come from, and it was off the jib for the forklift. That pin needs to be in there. So I'm not sure how long or how much we were using that jib, but that was being used without a pin in it. So that sleeve, the jib sleeve, just come out while you're using it if you're reversing or something with a load on it.
Yeah.
So we just got to have a look. Actually, just
Do you
have a
want to
look.
do a walk around today, Bruce, and look at all our everything out the back there that should or shouldn't have pins, and just make sure it's all okay. Start with a clean slate, and then we'll monitor it. Thanks. Next time, Mark, you want to speak, just turn the camera around, mate.
Who wants to see me, mate?
We've got another hazard here. So I believe it was a stippers load switch. A switching crew went to a Brown DF. They inspected the DF before operating. Noticed both sides of the Brown insulation were misaligned. Upon further inspection, they went up in the EWP and noticed all 4 glue points had come apart from the metal caps. So I believe that was the defect tag was raised for that. Job was probably canned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that'll be put in as a rectification. So that's good vigilance there by the crews. I don't know, any suggestions? They probably did everything right. Well, they did do everything right there. Maybe a suggestion just for some closer scoping for the guys in the office. I know it is hard to see from the ground at times. So I might chuck that in there, unless anyone's got anything else to add. No. So another incident, so a broken hydraulic hose causing a leak. So while driving down the road, an object, a rope or a strap, flicked up and caught around the tail shaft of the truck. The crews heard the noise, inspected underneath but didn't notice any damage. When the PDO was engaged, they noticed a leak. So spill kit was used. I assume fleet was let known and something fixed.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's Seb's truck, and if yes, that's all fixed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a suggestion here. I'm not sure if it's because his spill kit had a few things missing, but be sure to check his spill kits are fully equipped. The spill kits have like a little tag in it, like a seal,
Depends on what type they are, but yeah, they usually do.
just like to show that they should be full and they haven't been opened.
Being accessed or not.
Yeah, and if we use one, do we replace it with a new one? What
There's
do we-
stuff in the stores we've got spare absorbent pads and kitty work. So if they use something, we can
Depends what they use.
replace what they use, and if they use a shipload, we can just take it back to Pertec and get it redone.
Yeah, and resealed.
Yeah, yeah.
Just all 4 A's, just have to check on your spill kits, see if they're sealed. If not, just open them up and have a little nosy in there and just make sure you've got what you may require.
What's the go of disposing of stuff? Like use to get, or what are we actually supposed to do?
Disposing of,
Oh, like once you've mopped up a spill, you got plastic bags, where's that supposed to go?
Mark's just recently followed that up.
Yeah, just chuck everything in a plastic bag, all the mess, and bring it back to the depot, and we'll get it. We'll take it down to Pertec and put it in their bin. The only other option is we take it to a registered dump that takes that sort of stuff. But I think if we're using enough spill kit contents, it's probably worth just taking it down to Pertec and paying them to chuck it into their bin at the same time as we're replenishing the kit. So that's what we're doing.
So just bring it back and make sure you let your leader know, and I'll sort it out.
so any suggestions on that? I'm assuming the rope or strap that flicked up and caused the damage was something that was on the road and not a restraint that was on the truck. Yeah, any suggestions? Assuming that was unavoidable to go over those ropes and straps, I suppose there's probably not much they could have done.
The boys cleaned it up pretty quick, which was good. As soon as they've seen it, set the block anyway, get straight into it, and mopped it all up and protected the drains, especially down at the beach.
Yeah.
One road back, so yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing to be mindful of too when you have a leak is any gutters or is it an easy path road down to any sort of water system. Cool. Some general depot stuff, so check your tester leads. We've had 2 reported damaged recently. If you find yours to be the same, please see the storeman, we'll ensure we have spares on hand. Just have a quick visual of your leads. They are somewhat tunable on. The amount we use them, they're expected to get damaged over time. Also, there's been a request sent to check that everyone has access to the pre-start check app. So anyone that was found missing has been added. Please reach out to Cam if you find this isn't the case or if it's not working. So I might pay for people that probably don't use it. If it's a 4A that's always doing the pre-start throughout the next couple of days, maybe just swap that around just to make sure that you all have it functioning, apprentices included. Safety alert events, so another safety excellence, threat of trees collapse.
Yeah, this one. So recently, a Powerline crew from Mount Barker Depot was called to an address in Crafers West, where a 30-metre plus pine tree had collapsed and was resting on another gum tree, which was overhanging some, looks like low voltage power lines. So after consideration and a bit of a risk assessment between active tree trimming services and the crews on site, they formed a bit of a sort of works plan on how to safely start to break the tree down without further collapsing onto the power line and damaging anything or somebody getting hurt. What else? So yeah, they started removing it, and the tree still didn't sort of do what they were expecting it to do, so they stopped again, reassessed everything, went back over their work plan and procedure, and ended up getting the tree completely removed, and there was no damage to any power line, no damage, no workers injured or anything during this, and it was just a good example of how our processes could get the job done safely. So it's a bit of a good news story, I suppose.
Cool. Thanks, mate. That's all I have, unless anyone's got anything to add.
Just a couple of quick things. Welcome back, Warwick. Back from his operation. So Creanies will be back out in the field now, and Warwick will be obviously back in the stores. Cobbs is on leave for the next couple of weeks, so if there's anything you need to go to Cobbs to, just come see me. But it'll be a fairly quiet couple of weeks, I reckon, anyway. That's it.
Are you implying something there?
Well, everyone's on night work.
Oh, I thought you were saying quiet because no one goes to the Cobbs often. Cool. Yeah, have a safe week.
There was another, the Tadaro nearly went out yesterday, had the yellow light on the boom, so someone had left the PTO in before before it went out. We,
Did you chuck that in as a hazard?
I don't know if there obviously is no alarm in that truck with the PDOs in.
Still waiting. I think you're going to check that for me, Michael.
Yeah, no.
No alarm.
Alright, cool. Thank you.